So it's been about a month since I reviewed Tenet on the channel, which came out last year, and I figured after that review would be a very long time before I reviewed a movie newer than that. Evidently, I was incredibly wrong, as today we are going to be reviewing Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, which came out just about 2 months ago. Snyder actually initially conceived the movie in 2007, with the idea of it being a spiritual successor to Dawn of the Dead, which he released in 2004. However, after many years of development hell and a bunch of rewrites, 14 years later, we finally came out with a very unique zombie film. To sum up the plot, basically a zombie got loose and infected all of Las Vegas, and now they're gonna nuke Las Vegas, but some military veterans are paid by a casino owner to go into Las Vegas and retrieve $200 million from the casino vault before they nuke the city. This movie starred actors and actresses such as Ella Purnell, Omari Hardwick, Anna de la Regula, and Theo Rossi, but the main star was Dave Bautista, former pro wrestler and actually incredibly good actor, who actually turned down a role in James Gunn's upcoming Suicide Squad movie to do this instead. And regardless of how well Suicide Squad turns out, I think he made the right choice here because he should really avoid going to DC until they need somebody to play Bane, because he'd be incredible as Bane. This is also usually the part where I tell you how much it earned at the box office, and it earned a cool $1 million, because these are new age metrics, ladies and gentlemen, and this was a Netflix exclusive. The $1 million came from limited theaters, but it became one of the most watched original Netflix films and got 72 million viewers over its first month of release. And while the movie did run a little bit long, and while it was kind of devoid of logic at times, it's a pretty good movie if you turn your brain off about it. Sometimes to enjoy a movie you can't think about it too much, and if you try to think about this too much, you might not have a good time, but if you just turn your brain off and watch, a fun zombie destroying movie for 2 hours, then you might have fun watching this. But was the crew able to get that cool $200 million out of the vault in Las Vegas before the nuke dropped? Well, we're gonna find out right now as we review Army of the Dead, released in 2021. So the movie starts with a military convoy leaving Area 51, transporting some top-secret cargo. Elsewhere, a newlywed couple just left Las Vegas, and the new wife decides to suck her new husband's dick, because yeah, that's a start. This of course causes the husband to not really look where he's going, and he crashes right into the military convoy, killing them all and blowing everything up, but hey, at least he died happy. The top-secret cargo is also launch-free and the door of it is opened, and the military members are advised to get as far away from it as possible. Unfortunately, they don't do that, and a motherfucking zombie comes out and just starts slaughtering everybody. The zombie then finds itself on the outskirts of Las Vegas and then starts just a massive outbreak, turning pretty much the whole city into zombies. A military operation led by Scott Ward do their best to contain the zombies, but they're unsuccessful. So instead, they decide to get out of there and quarantine the entire city, trapping the zombies inside. Sometime later, Scott Ward is now working at a burger joint, and he's approached by a casino owner named Bly Tanaka. Tanaka has a hell of a proposition for him. Basically, he wants him to go into Vegas and recover $200 million from a vault in his casino, and in return, he gets $50 million of it. Elsewhere, a lady named Kate works as a volunteer at a quarantine zone outside of Vegas. Her friend Geta actually wants to go into the city to get supplies for her kids, and they're both harassed by an abusive security guard named Bert Cummings. This is a douchebag name right there. We also then get a flashback of Scott having to kill his wife after she turned into a zombie, and it's revealed that Scott is actually Kate's dad. Scott decides to take the job from Tanaka and starts putting a crew together, starting with his former military squad mates Maria Cruz and a man named Vanderoe. They also recruit helicopter pirate Marianne Peters, who was played by Tig Notaro, but not originally, as originally the role went to Chris D'Ayala, but after he was accused of sexual assault in August of 2020, over a year after they had finished filming, they reshot his scenes with Notaro instead, and then just digitally imposed her into the movie. In addition, they also recruit Mikey Guzman, who's an internet sharpshooter, as well as Ludwig Dieter, who's a safecracker. In addition, Guzman also brings along two friends named Damon and Chambers. After Tanaka lays out the plan to them, he also tells them that his head of security, Martin, is going with them as well, as he knows how to get into the casino. Damon, on the other hand, decides to puss out after hearing the plan, as he thinks they're all crazy, and to be fair, he's right. Scott then goes to see Kate, who he has an estranged relationship with, and asks for her help to get a bus to take them to the quarantine site. In exchange, Scott agrees to give her $15 million of the money so that she can use it to help the other people in the quarantine and also attend college. At the quarantine site, they meet up with a smuggler named Lily who's going to help them get into Vegas, but Lily then promptly gets punched in the face by Kate after Kate realizes that Lily let Geta into Vegas. Kate, who I must state for the record is an incredibly unlikable character, then tells Scott to take her into Vegas, or she's just gonna go herself and get killed, so he pretty much has no choice. And much to Kate's dismay, Lily also insists that they take the security guard Cummings with them as well. They make their way into Vegas and come into contact with a zombie tiger named Valentine, which is very unique and very terrifying. Uniquely terrifying. Lily then shoots Cummings in the knee and reveals that she brought him in here as a sacrifice because there are some zombies called the Alphas which are a lot more intelligent, and if they give them a sacrifice, the Alphas will allow them to roam the city. The Alpha Queen then shows up and accepts Cummings as a sacrifice, but they decide to head into a building just in case as to not push their luck. Cummings is taken to the Alpha leader Zeus, and it looks like the Queen is pregnant with a zombie baby. Cummings is then bitten by Zeus, implying that he will also turn into an alpha. Meanwhile, our group make their way into a building where they come across a bunch of hibernating zombies. In order to get past these zombies, they traverse the room by using glow sticks placed on the ground. However, Chambers is suspicious of Martin and accuses him of having ulterior motives of being here, so he decides to change her path. And of course, this turns into her going the wrong way and waking up all the sleeping zombies. And I gotta say, for the short time she was in this, they made her look like a badass. She was played by Samantha Wynn, Chambers was, and she looked great. Like, she was killing, she must have killed at least 50 zombies, and she was about to get out too, but of course, being the dick he is, Martin locks her in a room. And even after that, she dives through a window and still almost gets free before she's finally bitten by the zombies. Guzman is then forced to put his friend down by shooting the gas tank on her back. They then arrive at the casino and Peters goes to the roof to get the shitty helicopter working. Kate and Scott, meanwhile, go to fix a generator and they have a heart-to-heart. Kate basically reveals that she doesn't hate Scott because he killed her mother. She hates him because he never comforted her after, I guess, even though I'm sure he was also dealing with a lot because, he had to kill his wife. Yeah, he probably could have been there for you, but at the same time, you're not the only one who lost someone, and the world doesn't revolve around you, lady. Just saying. Meanwhile, it looks like Martin and Lily are on some kind of mission of their own, as outside the casino, they lured a zombie queen out into the open. Lily kills her bodyguard, and then Martin gets on top of the queen and cuts her head off, revealing to Lily that Tanaka never actually cared about the money. He just wants the zombie head because it's worth even more than that. Meanwhile, Vandero and Dieter get to work on removing the booby traps going towards the safe, but don't worry, they still have a full day before the nuke is dropped. Yeah, actually, just kidding, because the president decided to speed up the nuke drop-in by a whole day, and now they have about 90 minutes. And I don't know if this was an intentional joke or not, but at the time they said this movie had gone on just over 90 minutes. Dieter begins to work on the safe and looks like he cracked it. Look at all that money, and the humans are all happy. Zeus, meanwhile, is not happy because he found out his queen is dead and headless, and he's pissed. Maria then reveals to Scott that she's had feelings for him for a while, but before they can dive into that more, Scott realizes that Kate is missing. And yeah, turns out Kate's dumbass is going to Zeus's headquarters to try to rescue Geta because she assumes that she's there. Maria and Scott then decide, alright, it's time to go save Kate, let's go in this elevator, and oh damn, neck snap, look at that. That's right, the Alphas are here, and they are taking no prisoners, motherfucker. Lily, Scott, Guzman, and Martin try to escape for the hatch, but Martin betrays them and locks them in there, escaping for himself. Vandero, meanwhile, tries to fight Zeus, and it doesn't go very well for him. Dieter then sacrifices himself, though, by closing Vandero in the vault right as he's killed by Zeus. Martin makes it outside, meanwhile, but realizes that he doesn't have the queen's head anymore. Oh, and also, Valentine happens to be right behind him. He then gets slowly but surely mauled by Valentine, who proceeds to just eat his face, which, you know, is pretty brutal, but you kinda deserved it, bro. Lily, Scott, and Guzman meanwhile make their way for the casino floor, but Guzman gets bit and blows himself up so that Lily and Scott can escape in an elevator. Lily and Scott then make it to the roof where Peters has just gotten a helicopter started, but Zeus is there too. Lily's able to fend him off, however, by threatening to shoot the Queen's head, which is actually still alive. Scott and Peters escape on the helicopter while Lily is impaled by a spear, but right before she dies, she drops the Queen's head off the roof. So the nuke's about to drop in like 9 minutes, but Scott still can't find Kate's dumbass, so he instructs Peters to take him to the other casino so that he can look for her. At the casino, Kate actually finds Geta as well as her friend Daisy, but Daisy doesn't last too long as she's killed by Zombie Cummings. And then Zombie Cummings gets killed by Kate, so he didn't last that long either. They're then confronted by Zeus, and Kate shoots down Zeus's horde until she runs out of bullets, but Scott is able to save them from Zeus just in time. They then make it to the roof, and oh crap, looks like Peters left them. No, just kidding. She's kidding. She changed her mind. She's back. Didn't actually leave you. And also, can I just say that Zeus was at the casino before the helicopter? How the hell did he get there faster than a helicopter? Speaking of Zeus being fast as shit, there he is again, and he jumps right onto the helicopter and starts fighting with Scott. He breaks Scott's arm and causes Scott to accidentally shoot Peters in the arm just as the nuke is launched into Vegas. Scott unfortunately then gets bitten by Zeus, but the blast distracts Zeus enough for Scott to explode his head. Unfortunately, the blast also crashes the helicopter as well. Kate is fine, because of course she is, but unfortunately Peters as well as Geta are both dead. Scott is alive though, barely, and he gives Kate what money he was able to save before he turns into a zombie, which forces Kate to put him down. And then a rescue helicopter comes to get Kate, and I guess in this scene we're supposed to feel bad for her, but Scott, Geta, and Peters being dead are all entirely her fault. So yeah, no, don't really feel bad, no. Elsewhere in nuked Vegas, guess who's still alive? Vandero, because he was in the vault. Why didn't they all just stay in the vault? Like seriously, did none of them think of that? That maybe the vault could withstand the blast? If they had done that, they'd all just still be alive. I know Scott's dumbass had to go to get Kate, and this is all Kate's fault when you think about it, because if Kate hadn't ran off, they all could have just stayed in the vault. But, you know, whatever, Vandero's alive, that's cool. Vandero then steals a car and takes it to Utah, where he rents a private plane, and life seems to be going well for him, except he looks a little bit sickly. And he goes to check himself out in the bathroom, where turns out he's been bit, as his private plane is just about to land in Mexico City. And I gotta say, that is a hell of a way to set up a sequel, as it looks like we're gonna have a new Alpha on the rise. So let's talk about Kate, and the main talking point here is, was she a poorly written character? Well, it depends on what Zack Snyder was going for. If Zack Snyder intended her to be just the worst, then I say he did a pretty good job, because she was just the worst. So if that's what he was going for, good job. But Zack Snyder unfortunately is not always the best at, writing characters, as proven with some of his other movies, and I have a feeling maybe he wanted to write her as sympathetic and, all that, and if that's what he was going for, he failed miserably, because she was just the worst. And again, ultimately, the whole thing was her fault. They all could have just hid in the vault, and they would have been safe. Not even Zeus would have been able to get them in the vault. It didn't matter if he was coming for them or not. If Kate had just stayed, they all could have piled in the vault, and they would have been fine. So Kate pretty much caused everybody to get killed, and also, can I just say her reasoning, I don't know if I mentioned this, the reasoning for her wanting to go get Geta is because Geta had 2 kids. Well, you got their mother killed, so what happens to those kids now? Maybe, instead of going to get Geta, you could have, made sure the kids were alright yourself? Like you could have taken care of the kids instead of going to certain death to try to get their mother back, and instead the kids just have no one now? Like, this is what I'm talking about, this movie being kind of devoid of logic. There wasn't really a truly logical character in this movie. Except for Damon, the guy who pussed out. He was smarter than all of them. Although I do gotta say, I continue to be amazed at how much of a tremendous actor Dave Bautista is. He was fantastic in this movie. Omari Hardwick, who played Vanderohe, was really good as well, but I think Bautista was definitely the shining star. But ultimately, I gotta go back to what I said at the beginning. Basically, to enjoy this movie, you need to turn your brain off. All that stuff I just talked about with Kate is frustrating because I'm thinking about it at a very deep level when I'm trying to get into this movie. But if you don't think about that too much, and it's hard not to because she's obnoxious, but if you just turn your brain off and watch, a fun zombie movie, then it's fine. It's an alright film. But if you think about it too much, it's kinda really frustrating. But I did like the ending and how they set up the sequel, and I'm interested to see how this sequel goes, because there's a lot more people in Mexico City. That's not exactly as easy to block off as Vegas was. But in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, again, if you're just looking for, 2 hours of fun, and also this movie did not need to be 2 hours. It should have been less than that. It was more than 2 hours, actually. It was about 2:20. This movie did not need to be that long. If this was like an hour 40, maybe it would have been better. But if you're looking to turn your brain off for 2 hours, 20 minutes, then you might enjoy this movie. If you get into it too much, it might frustrate you. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for my review of Army of the Dead. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next week, we'll be doing the first part of a 2-part review. The next 2 weeks, we'll be reviewing the Tim Curry It movies. We'll be doing part 1 next week and part 2 the week after. But that's going to do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, be sure to like it. If you didn't like it, don't. Thank you to all my patrons for supporting me and both my channels. All my other social media links are in the description down below. Also, I almost forgot to mention thank you to Dylan for using your channel points to request this review. I appreciate it. And with all that being said, my name is Noah Taft. This has been my review of Army of the Dead, released in 2021, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.